So welcome, folks. Um, yeah, nice to see your names there. Lovely. Um, mm, yeah, my name's Matthew. I'm your substitute teacher. You can call me Matthew or Mr. Brent Silver. Um, look forward to practicing with you. And I'm unshaved but caffeinated. Gil gets up early, 7, and but I always really enjoy being with you, and we'll find our way. So yeah, find your posture, and we'll practice. And sometimes it can be useful to kind of take our inner Dharma posture slowly, getting into a yoga asana gently, letting the mind, the attention take its time to gather. And then other times it can be useful to see what it's like to put down everything all at once and start on a dime. Kind of abrupt putting down of the world. And there's a certain kind of almost ruthlessness in the way in which we lay down the complexities of our life. And the only way we can do that, the only way we can justify that is knowing that that gesture, that radical gesture of laying something down will help us to love and serve more deeply. So you're invited warmly into this realm of experience where our life, our so-called life, is just a thought arising. The siren calls of hope and fear are neither answered nor completely ignored. We might feel the kind of tug on the heart, feel our way into kind of impact of thought or memory or worry on our body. And rather than trying to finish the sentence, finish the story of the hope or the fear, the excitement or the sorrow, we just feel its impact on our body. And in that way, practice tending to the experience without abandoning our heart in this present moment. Perhaps letting your breathing be like whispers from the Buddha, just inviting us to release into the present moment. And clinging is always complicated. Letting go, simple. Not, of course, always easy, but simple and simplifying. Just letting go into our breathing. The stickiness of auditory thought, or the words careening through the mind. The stickiness of that is often dependent on a lack of equanimity with feeling in our body. If we can have this very patient, tolerant, radical permission for feeling to be what it is, rather than to be a commandment with instructions, demands, we can just allow feeling to be feeling. The stickiness in the realm of thought starts to dissolve. In other words, it feels safer to rest here, now, a very simple way. Let us just breathe together. It's important to appreciate the innocence of the movements of our mind. Really, the incredible poignancy of our mind trying to get what we feel we need, protect ourselves from what causes fear. You don't have to do loving kindness practice, self compassion, just to see how much it's needed. So we meet the surges of feeling, hope and fear, the stickiness of thinking, meet it with gentle warmth, signaling to the deep mind that what's important won't be neglected, but for right now, it's okay to be very simple. Breathe. Okay, it's good to practice with you. I appreciate the love being exchanged in various directions in the chat there. So the Paramis, a list of 10 virtues that, as I understand, is composed after the Buddha's life. And it is speculated that the list was an attempt after the fact to understand how the Buddha arose as his own teacher, and I wanted to explore some of these kind of beautiful heart qualities this week. So truthfulness with ourselves, with each other, with the moment. It's really kind of foundation of the path. So the philosopher Metzinger says the scientific, very sober, rigorous approach to reality and life, and the spiritual approach to reality and life stem from the same values, the same normative core. It has something to do with truthfulness. I guess the English word is veracity, the pure will to absolute veracity and to accept the obligation of veracity towards oneself. As a child, I would get enraged by hypocrisy. That's not very, that made me a little annoying, but it was strong in me. It was strong. I was like really deeply affected. And I didn't think that I knew what the ultimate truth was. In fact, I knew I didn't. But it wasn't hard to spot lies. And when I would see society say one thing and do another, or I would sense that someone was living deceptively, using words to hide truth, when I would notice something, but nobody would acknowledge or talk about it, pretending it wasn't there, it would ignite so much feeling in me. That's sort of how I felt about dukkha, the suffering, and not even suffering, just the intensity that I kept bumping into, this all-pervasive thing that we weren't talking about. And as children, we learn through our interactions with others, often a parent, and form this consensual reality when you're experiencing coldness. Here's more clothes, here's a warmth. When you don't feel good because you're hungry, here's food. You're worthy of love. Here is love. Here's my love. And that kind of empathic connection is foundational, and it really helps the child make sense of the world together. And in when I was in grad school, research was focused around risk and resilience in kids who are maltreated. And when many of those kids faced trauma, part of what was so destructive and so disorienting was that they didn't even know what was real. And this would come out in meeting with them. They didn't have often anyone to help them realize, like, yeah, this is true, this is real, I'm sorry. And honesty, um, helping each other make sense of reality feels like a kind of moral debt, you know. We owe it to each other so that they can make sense of their lives. The Theravadan commentary says all evil states converge upon the transgression of truth. Like gives you an idea of how fundamental this capacity for honesty, truthfulness. Gil has said mindfulness practice, just honesty practice. And to deceive another is to induce some measure of delusion. And that is that's harm. The Buddha said one who feels no conflict in telling kind of deliberate lie, there's no harm that they will not do. And then there's this related issue, not quite a lie, but bullshit. Excuse my language. But a famous essay from Harry Frankfurt in 1986, distinguishing BS from lying, and said the bullshitter cannot be regarded as lying, for they do not presume that they know the truth. Their statement is neither grounded in a belief that it is true, nor, as a lie must be, in a belief that is not true. It is just this lack of connection to a concern with the truth, this indifference to how things really are, that I regard as the essence of bullshit. And as Dharma practitioners, we take a stand, a firm stand against that in our personal lives, in our public lives. At various times in my practice, I just felt such a deep longing, like, let me understand. I don't even care if the truth makes me happier, just let me understand. And so in this moment, this political moment, at least in this country, the United States, where I am, when there's so much deception and such pervasive BS, such fundamental indifference to how things really are, I find myself returned to a kind of adolescent rage. And this anger then motivates a kind of deep wish to show them, whoever them is, no, you're wrong. This kind of hunger to prove something for the final piece of evidence to be revealed. This was always a con. And it feels like I'm trying to maintain my epistemic sanity, epistemic, like, from philosophy, capacity to know, theory of knowledge, trying to maintain that. But marshaling evidence doesn't matter in the face of indifference to truth. And so that then sends me into a kind of self-righteous spiral where I need to find others who completely, totally agree with exactly my view. And I get where all that comes from, but it is not a healthy cycle. There's got to be some different way. How do we honor the truth? you know? Well, we we begin, yeah, may we treasure the truth. May we speak it as best we can discern it. The Parami Saka. And we try to do that. I try to do that here in the Dharma, this field of honesty where the urge to be deceptive is that kind of instant karmic effect we can discern. May I give up on samsara in a way. I cannot make my sanity dependent on the world honoring truthfulness. And to enter a bad faith debate is to lose. May I be relentless in perceiving self-deception when I dimly sense that perhaps I'm like pulling a fast one on myself. May I not live cocooned in the kind of mythic story of my own ego. Tanya Lombroso said, people think that they're like scientists, but we're actually more like trial lawyers. Not actually looking for all evidence evenly. We've predetermined what's true and then are making the case for that. May I take a stand in my own heart against that. May I listen to others. Truth is closer to a property of dyads than an individual. We cannot see the back of our head. We cannot know without others. We cannot uproot delusion without listening deeply to others who care about the truth. Nietzsche said that truth is apportioned according to one's strength. May we be strong enough to tolerate truth. And then there is Sangha, a place where we don't have to pretend what's in front of our eyes isn't there. Such a kind of the spirit of the Dharma, just very undefended against truth. And nature bats last anyway, which is to say, maybe we say anicca bats last, truth bats last. And so let's discover how to let go of illusion, the illusion of holding. Let's discover how to let go of the illusion of holding on before that illusion is shattered. Offer this for your consideration, and we'll keep going tomorrow. I wish you a good day. Maybe it's a kind of contemplation of this kind of fidelity, veracity, commitment, ways in which the the ways in which the curation of self often involves some subtle deceptiveness. Let's honor the truth today. Okay, see you tomorrow morning.